Okay, let me try this again. Apparently there was no sound, so hopefully you can hear the sound now. If not, please drop me a comment. Thank you, Sine, for that. So I've decided to try it again. Let's try one more time. Hi, I'm Dory O'Neill here. I am here to teach you to go from stuck to unstoppable. It's October and the weather is beautiful. At least here in Georgia, it's cold and crisp, and it reminds me of new beginnings, fresh starts. It is magical for me. It also reminds me of Halloween. And I love Halloween because I think of trick or treating. And I remember when I was little, my mom would come up with these costumes for us. And maybe they weren't as big and, glamorous as the ones now, but she would put a little leotard on me and safety pin a tail. And then I had these little ears that were attached to a headband. And I think she used eyeliner to put a nose and whiskers on me. It was really cute. And for those that know me, know that I have a sister that's 15 years younger than I am. So by the time she got up to trick-or-treating age, the costumes did get more elaborate. My mother's sewing skills are amazing. And I remember she had this little costume that was a princess from here up with a little cone. And then the bottom, my mother had made this horse and stuffed it. And so it was absolutely adorable. And that's what this time of year really reminds me of, is home and my mom and trick-or-treating. But it also reminds me of scary movies. Oh my God, I loved scary movies. They would keep me up at night after I'd watch them, but I'd still just absolutely love them. And the thought of Freddy Krueger and Jason Myers, it just brings up feelings of fear. But at that age, I loved it. So, because I love October, because I love Halloween, and I love everything that's a little bit scary, I'm going to talk this month about the big F word, and that's fear. I'm not going to talk about scary movies, well, maybe a little bit, but what I'm going to talk about the fears that are stopping you from being unstoppable, the things that are getting you stuck where you're at and afraid to move forward. So I met with a friend yesterday. It's funny kind of how this happens, and we were talking and the word fear came up. And it was really interesting because we were talking about fear of failure. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm going to talk about today or Sunday, is fear of failure. And the conversation then progressed to fear of success. It's like, wow, how often do we talk about fear of success? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about this dual fear of failure and fear of success. Now, I will say this, that fear of failure has stopped me a lot in my life. It stopped me from doing a lot of things that I probably could have been really good at, but I stopped myself from doing that. So I want you to think about this right now. I want you to picture or think about a time in your life where you didn't do something because you were afraid you were going to fail. And you just didn't do it. You were paralyzed with fear and you didn't move forward and you didn't do anything. Think about that just for a minute. We're not going to try to go too far down into the beating ourselves up, but I want that in your mind. And I want you to think about that fear of failure. I'm going to fail. I'm not going to do this. I can't do this because I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail. I'm going to tell you about some people that failed. Did you know that Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times before he invented the light bulb? Did you know that Walt Disney was fired from his first job because he was told he wasn't imaginative or creative? Think about that. Now, sure, Edison has, the light bulb, and then there's Walt Disney, and they're like, but Dory, those are really, really big things. Those are really great people. Doesn't matter. Think about it in your daily life. Think about the promotion that you've been afraid to go for, or even rollerblading with your kids or your grandkids because you're afraid you're going to fail. Albert Einstein says that failure is a success is just success in progress. Now, when I worked at T-Mobile in the beginning of my career, we actually had a slogan called Fail Fast. Yes, T-Mobile wanted us to fail, and they wanted us to fail fast. And why is that? Because the sooner we fail, the sooner we learn the lessons that get us on towards success faster. So that was the slogan. And it's changing gears and thinking about success. Let's talk about fear of success. This is a strange one. I know. But how many times, or have you ever thought of a time where you thought, if I'm successful, what's going to happen? Am I going to have to perform at a different level and maintain that level forever? And then you go back into fear of failure. Am I going to fail if I'm now expected to be up here and I fail? So you've set the bar higher. Does it mean that you're going to have to shine a spotlight on yourself? Oh my gosh, how many of us when we were little were told, don't think too much of yourself, don't show off? Sometimes the fear of success puts us in that same mindset where we're afraid to show up and do what we need to do because that's what we're taught to do. So let me ask you this. Have you set that bar in your life right now at a level of where you cannot fail? Have you set it there? And is it set at a level that's so easy that you're not moving forward? So today, I'm going to challenge you. Today, I want you to take what you thought of earlier today, that fear, that fear of failure, that time that you were so afraid that you were going to fail that you didn't do anything. I want you to think about that. And I'm going to challenge you to think a different way. I want you to take that, and I want you to look and find the gift. What was the gift? There had to be an experience. There had to be some little nugget that you gained out of that to bring you to your next level. Or did it take you down a different path that you otherwise wouldn't have gone down? I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I got my divorce, I was very upset and a little depressed because I felt like I had to move backward. I moved in with my best friend and her husband and her 2 teenage girls. And I thought, oh my God, I'm such a failure. This is so bad. I'm seeing this family that I've wanted my entire life playing out in front of me. But then later on, now looking back, I can look at that and I can see that living with those 2 teenage girls prepared me for the 2 teenage girls I live with today. I didn't know anything about teenage girls because my sister I mentioned earlier, I was gone by the time she was a teenager, so I was older. So that's what it prepared me for. So I can look back now at that failed marriage and living with my friend and be very sad and upset, or I can look back now and go, it was a gift. Didn't see it at the time, and sometimes we don't, but it was a gift. And I'm going to leave you with this one final thing, this one note today. One thing that I found is if I don't try, then I don't succeed. I don't fail. But then I'm left with the thoughts of what could have been. And that is usually what moves me past the fear. I would rather succeed or fail than live in the land of what could have been. So if you have any questions, thank you for joining today. Thank you, Sine. Thank you, Kimberly. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to reach out in the chat. If you're watching this again, #replay. And if you're interested in my Blot a Badass program, please feel free to reach out to me. Let's schedule a consultation. I'd love to talk to you, figure out what's going on, how you're stuck, and show you how to become unstoppable. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful Sunday.